Family Guy Season 2, The Complete Journey. What if I told you that Family Guy's second season was where the show truly found its voice? That these 21 episodes would establish the template for modern animated comedy and create some of the most quoted moments in television history? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into Family Guy Season 2, the season that proved this wasn't just a flash in the pan, but a comedy revolution. From luxury mansions to apocalyptic scenarios, let's explore every single episode that cemented the Griffin family's place in pop culture history. Episode 1. Season 2 opens with the Griffins experiencing sudden wealth when Lois inherits her Aunt Marguerite's mansion in Newport. This episode perfectly establishes the show's ability to explore class dynamics through Peter's characteristic incompetence. The contrast between the Griffin family's blue-collar sensibilities and high society creates immediate comedy gold. Peter tries to fit in with Newport's elite, but his attempts at sophistication consistently backfire. The episode's genius lies in how it shows Peter's fundamental inability to change who he is, even when given every opportunity. At a charity auction, Peter's competitive nature and poor impulse control lead him to bid their entire inheritance on a worthless item, instantly returning the family to poverty. The episode works as both comedy and social commentary, highlighting how wealth doesn't change character and how the American dream can be as fleeting as it is appealing. Lois's reaction to losing her family's mansion reveals her own complex relationship with her privileged background, while the children's brief taste of luxury shows how quickly they adapt to changing circumstances. Episode 2. Peter's father, Francis Griffin, visits after being forced into retirement, creating immediate conflict with his ultra-religious Catholic worldview clashing against the Griffin family's chaotic lifestyle. Francis represents old-world religious conservatism taken to extremes, disapproving of everything from Lois's Protestant faith to the family's general lack of piety. The episode explores themes of generational conflict and religious tolerance, while maintaining Family Guy's irreverent tone. Peter desperately seeks his father's approval, something he never received as a child, leading to increasingly ridiculous attempts to prove his worth as a son. The subplot involving Chris's constipation provides gross-out humor while serving as a metaphor for the family's difficulty processing Francis's presence. When Peter's efforts to bond with his father fail, he resorts to kidnapping the Pope, escalating the situation to absurd heights. The episode brilliantly balances respect for religious faith with criticism of religious extremism, showing how zealotry can damage family relationships. Francis's character serves as a foil to Peter, highlighting how Peter's childishness might stem from his upbringing. The resolution doesn't provide easy answers about faith or family, instead suggesting that acceptance might be more important than agreement. Episode 3. This Y2K episode showcases Family Guy's ability to tackle contemporary fears while creating timeless comedy. Peter's paranoia about the Millennium Bug leads him to prepare for the apocalypse, stockpiling supplies and building a bunker. When his fears seemingly come true, and civilization collapses, the episode transforms into a post-apocalyptic adventure. The Griffin family emerges to find Quahog destroyed, forcing them to survive in a wasteland filled with mutants and dangers. Their journey to a Twinkie factory in Natick becomes an epic quest that parodies both disaster movies and road trip films. Stewie's mutation into an octopus-like creature provides body horror comedy while maintaining his intellectual superiority. The episode's strength lies in its commitment to the apocalyptic premise. Rather than quickly returning to normal, it explores how each family member would adapt to world's end. Peter's leadership capabilities emerge in crisis situations, while Lois proves surprisingly resourceful. The episode features some of the series' most creative animation and world building, creating a believable post-apocalyptic Rhode Island. Randy Newman's appearance as himself, trying to profit from the apocalypse through song, perfectly captures the episode's satirical edge about commercialism surviving even civilization's collapse. Episode 4. Brian's unrequited love for Lois creates the emotional center of this episode while exploring themes of desire, loyalty, and self-awareness. When Brian's feelings manifest as physical symptoms including loss of bladder control, he's forced to confront emotions he's been suppressing. The therapy sessions with Dr. Kaplan provide insight into Brian's psychology while creating opportunities for both humor and pathos. Brian's struggle with his inappropriate feelings for his best friend's wife adds complexity to his character beyond the typical talking dog trope. The episode handles the delicate subject matter with surprising maturity, neither mocking Brian's feelings nor treating them as purely comedic. Peter's obliviousness to Brian's emotional turmoil highlights his self-centered nature while also protecting the family dynamic. Stewie's subplot involving his own relationship with his stuffed animal Rupert mirrors Brian's situation, suggesting that unrequited love affects beings of all ages and species. The episode's resolution doesn't magically cure Brian's feelings, but helps him find healthier ways to cope with them. This marks an important development in Brian's character arc, establishing him as more than comic relief, but as a complex individual with real emotional needs and struggles. Episode 5. The neighborhood's conflict over a parade trophy reveals the competitive nature lurking beneath suburban civility. When the residents of Spooner Street win a trophy for their float, their inability to agree on custody leads to escalating tensions and eventually theft. The episode serves as a microcosm of larger social conflicts about ownership, recognition, and community cooperation. Each neighbor's reaction to the trophy situation reveals their character: Peter's need for recognition, Joe's sense of justice, and Quagmire's opportunistic nature. Meanwhile, Meg's subplot as a restaurant waitress introduces themes of teenage employment and the lies people tell for financial gain. Her decision to pretend Stewie is her son for sympathy tips creates awkward situations while highlighting her desperate need for money and attention. The episode explores how material objects can destroy relationships while examining the arbitrary nature of awards and recognition. The mystery of who stole the trophy creates genuine suspense while providing opportunities for character development and conflict resolution. The resolution suggests that community harmony is more valuable than individual recognition, though the lesson doesn't come easily to these competitive neighbors. Episode 6. When Peter fakes his death to avoid paying a medical bill, he attracts the attention of Death himself, leading to one of the series' most creative and philosophical episodes. Death's characterization as a tired, overworked civil servant transforms the traditionally fearsome figure into a relatable character dealing with bureaucratic frustrations. The episode explores themes of mortality, responsibility, and the consequences of dishonesty while maintaining its comedic tone. Peter's scheme backfires spectacularly when Death injures himself chasing Peter, causing all Death to stop worldwide. The global consequences of Death's incapacitation create both comedy and genuine concern as civilization begins to break down without natural mortality. Meanwhile, the rest of the family must deal with Peter's supposed death, revealing how each member would cope with such loss. Lois's grief, the children's confusion, and Brian's practical concerns about family finances all feel genuine despite the absurd circumstances. The episode's exploration of what happens when Death stops working serves as both comedy and philosophical thought experiment. Peter's eventual decision to help Death return to work shows character growth and acceptance of responsibility. The episode successfully balances high-concept science fiction with intimate family drama and existential comedy. Episode 7. Lois's involvement with the Quahog Community Theater's production of The King and I provides the framework for exploring artistic integrity versus commercial appeal. When the original director dies, Lois takes over with high-minded intentions about preserving the musical's cultural significance. Peter's interference as producer transforms the production into a completely different show, adding scantily clad women, cyborgs, and explosions to the traditional Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. The episode satirizes both pretentious art and lowest common denominator entertainment, while examining how creative projects can become battlegrounds for competing visions. Peter's changes to the script reflect his understanding of what audiences want versus what critics consider worthwhile. The conflict between Lois and Peter represents broader cultural debates about art, entertainment, and commercial success. Meanwhile, Stewie's involvement as a cast member allows him to showcase his theatrical talents while pursuing his own agenda for stage domination. The episode features elaborate musical numbers that parody both the original musical and Peter's bizarre additions. The resolution suggests that successful art requires compromise between artistic vision and audience appeal, though it doesn't resolve the fundamental tension between these competing interests. The episode also establishes Lois as having her own creative ambitions beyond her role as wife and mother. Episode 8. After telling sexist jokes at work, Peter is forced to attend a women's retreat, leading to an exploration of gender roles and feminist consciousness. The episode begins with Peter's casual sexism creating workplace problems, forcing him to confront attitudes he's never questioned. His initial resistance to the retreat gives way to genuine engagement with feminist ideas, leading to dramatic personality changes. Peter's transformation into a sensitive, empathetic man creates new problems as his family and friends struggle to accept this new version of him. The episode examines how changing one's worldview affects all relationships, not just the attitudes that needed changing. Lois's reaction to Peter's newfound sensitivity reveals her own complicated feelings about masculinity and femininity. The other men in Peter's life feel threatened by his change, suggesting that maintaining traditional gender roles requires group enforcement. Meanwhile, Peter's exaggerated embrace of feminist ideals shows how converts often become more extreme than those they're trying to emulate. The episode doesn't mock feminism, but rather explores how dramatic personal change affects family and social dynamics. The resolution finds middle ground between Peter's original sexism and his overcorrected sensitivity, suggesting that personal growth requires balance rather than extreme swings. Episode 9. Peter's lie about Chris having a terminal illness to get him a wish from the Make a Dream Come True Foundation spirals into a complex web of deception. The episode explores themes of dishonesty, exploitation of charitable organizations, and the lengths parents will go to make their children happy. He wants to help Chris meet his television hero, but his methods are completely inappropriate. The lie's escalation forces Peter to maintain increasingly elaborate deceptions, including staging Chris's fake illness symptoms for foundation representatives. The episode satirizes both the celebrity culture surrounding charitable foundations and the people who exploit them for personal gain. Chris's genuine excitement about meeting his hero creates emotional stakes that complicate the purely comedic setup. When Peter's lie leads to his being declared a miracle worker, the episode expands to satirize religious fanaticism and false prophets. The formation of the Church of the Fonz shows how people's desire for meaning can attach to the most unlikely sources. Peter's discomfort with being worshipped highlights his awareness that he's crossed moral lines, even as he struggles to extract himself from the situation. The episode's resolution requires Peter to face consequences for his dishonesty while protecting Chris from understanding his father's deception. Episode 10. Lois's campaign for school board introduces political themes while exploring how power affects relationships and principles. Her decision to run stems from genuine concern about the children's education, but the campaign process gradually changes her priorities and methods. Peter's role as campaign manager allows him to use his networking skills while creating opportunities for electoral comedy. The episode satirizes local politics, showing how even small-scale elections can become corrupt and personality-driven rather than issue-focused. Lois's opponent represents entrenched interests, resistant to change, while Lois begins as the reform candidate before becoming increasingly ruthless in pursuit of victory. The campaign's effect on the Griffin family shows how political involvement can consume personal relationships and family time. Meanwhile, Brian's role as political advisor highlights his intellectual pretensions while revealing his own cynical understanding of electoral politics. The episode explores whether good people can remain good while seeking political power and whether compromise is inevitable in democratic systems. Lois's eventual victory comes at the cost of some of her original idealism, suggesting that political success requires moral flexibility. The episode doesn't provide easy answers about political participation, but rather examines the personal costs of civic engagement. Episode 11. Chris's artistic talents are discovered when his drawings attract the attention of a New York art dealer, leading the family to relocate temporarily to pursue his career. The episode explores themes of artistic recognition, family sacrifice, and the conflict between commercial success and creative integrity. Chris's genuine artistic ability provides rare positive attention for the often overlooked middle child, but the adult art world's interest in his work creates pressure he's not equipped to handle. The Griffin family's move to New York exposes them to sophisticated urban culture that highlights their provincial background while challenging their assumptions about success and happiness. Peter's attempts to manage Chris's career demonstrate his loving intentions while showcasing his complete lack of understanding about the art world. The episode satirizes pretentious art culture while also showing genuine appreciation for Chris's talent and creativity. Lois's pride in Chris's success conflicts with her protective instincts as she sees him being exploited by adults who care more about profit than his development. The art dealer's motivations become increasingly questionable as his interest in Chris seems to focus more on the novelty of his age and background than his actual artistic merit. The episode's resolution prioritizes family unity and Chris's happiness over financial success and fame, suggesting that some opportunities aren't worth the personal cost they require. Episode 12. When Meg appears on a talk show to discuss her family's dysfunction, the episode explores themes of privacy, exploitation, and the price of fame. The family's brief taste of television celebrity shows how easily ordinary people can be manipulated by media professionals seeking sensational content. Meg's motivation for appearing on the show stems from her constant humiliation at home and school, making her decision understandable even as it proves destructive. The talk show's portrayal of the Griffin family as freakish entertainment highlights how media can exploit personal problems for public consumption. Each family member's reaction to their television appearance reveals their individual vulnerabilities and desires for recognition. Peter enjoys the attention despite its negative nature, while Lois feels violated by the invasion of their privacy. The episode satirizes daytime television's exploitation of personal dysfunction while examining how fame can temporarily mask deeper emotional needs. When a network decides to create a sitcom based on the Griffin family, the episode explores how real people become fictional characters through media representation. The actors hired to play the Griffin family highlight the difference between authentic dysfunction and performed dysfunction, suggesting that real problems can't be easily packaged for entertainment. The resolution requires the family to reclaim their privacy and authenticity from an industry that profits from their pain. Episode 13, this landmark episode establishes the road to format that would become one of Family Guy's most beloved recurring storylines. Brian and Stewie's unexpected partnership during a cross-country journey from Los Angeles back to Rhode Island creates the series' most important friendship while showcasing both characters' depth beyond their usual roles. The episode begins with Brian's failure to pick up Stewie from his trip to see his grandparents, forcing them to find alternative transportation home. Their journey becomes a bonding experience that reveals hidden aspects of both characters. Brian's past disappointments and current cynicism are exposed through conversations with Stewie, who despite his infantile body demonstrates remarkable emotional intelligence. The episode features elaborate musical numbers that showcase the voice actor's talents while advancing character development through song. The animation style becomes more cinematic and ambitious, reflecting the episode's increased emotional scope and production budget. Stewie's gradual revelation of his vulnerabilities beneath his megalomaniacal exterior creates genuine pathos while maintaining his comedic edge. Brian's protective instincts towards Stewie emerge as their journey continues, establishing a friendship that transcends their obvious differences. The episode successfully balances road trip comedy with character exploration, creating a template for future Road to episodes while standing alone as excellent storytelling. The resolution finds both characters changed by their experience together, setting up their ongoing dynamic for the rest of the series. Episode 14, Peter goes undercover as a high school student to investigate drug use, leading to comedy that explores themes of aging, relevance, and parental paranoia. His attempts to fit in with teenage culture highlight the generation gap while creating opportunities for physical comedy as the middle-aged Peter tries to act like a teenager. The episode satirizes both anti-drug campaigns and teenage rebellion, showing how adult fears about youth culture often miss the actual problems facing young people. Peter's infiltration of the high school reveals more about his own insecurities than about any drug problem, as he becomes increasingly invested in teenage social dynamics. Meanwhile, the real teenagers in the episode are portrayed as more sensible and mature than the adults trying to control them, inverting typical generational stereotypes. Lois's reaction to Peter's undercover work shows her practical approach to parenting, compared to his dramatic interventions. The episode's exploration of drug use avoids both preachiness and glorification, instead focusing on the communication breakdown between parents and children. Peter's temporary popularity among the students feeds his ego while creating complications for Meg, who must deal with her father's presence in her social environment. The resolution suggests that honest communication is more effective than surveillance and deception in addressing family concerns about teenage behavior. Episode 15, Stewie's relationship with his babysitter Janet creates comedy while exploring themes of attachment, jealousy, and emotional development. When Janet begins dating someone else, Stewie's reaction reveals the depth of his feelings for her while showcasing his manipulative abilities. The episode examines how children form intense attachments to caregivers outside their immediate family, and how those relationships can become complicated by the child's emotional needs. Stewie's schemes to break up Janet's relationship demonstrate his intelligence while highlighting his emotional immaturity and possessiveness. Meanwhile, Peter's subplot provides physical comedy while exploring his relationship with his neighbors and his need for male bonding. The episode's strength lies in its portrayal of Stewie as genuinely childlike despite his sophisticated vocabulary and complex plans. His jealousy over Janet's attention feels authentic to childhood experience while maintaining the character's unique personality. The episode also develops Janet as more than just a plot device, giving her agency and her own motivations beyond caring for Stewie. The resolution requires Stewie to confront his possessive behavior while learning that caring about someone sometimes means accepting their choices, even when they don't benefit you. This emotional growth marks important character development for Stewie while maintaining his essential characteristics. Episode 16. When Peter befriends a mobster named Big Fat Polly, the episode explores themes of friendship, loyalty, and moral compromise. Peter's attraction to Polly's confidence and apparent success blinds him to the criminal nature of his new friend's activities. The episode satirizes both organized crime culture and Peter's naive desire to be seen as tough and connected. Polly's influence on Peter shows how easily ordinary people can be drawn into criminal activity through friendship and the desire for acceptance. Meanwhile, the family's reaction to Peter's new friendship creates tension as they recognize dangers that Peter ignores or dismisses. The episode examines how criminal organizations exploit people's need for belonging and respect while offering shortcuts to success that inevitably come with hidden costs. Peter's involvement in Polly's schemes escalates gradually, showing how people can be drawn deeper into criminal activity through small compromises and loyalty to friends. The episode avoids glorifying organized crime while still finding humor in the cultural stereotypes and rituals associated with mob life. Lois's growing concern about Peter's friendship highlights her protective instincts and practical wisdom compared to Peter's romantic notions about criminal life. The resolution requires Peter to choose between his friendship with Polly and his family's safety, testing his priorities and moral boundaries. Episode 17. Peter's weight loss journey becomes the catalyst for exploring themes of self-image, marital dynamics, and personal transformation. When Peter decides to get in shape, his dramatic physical transformation affects every aspect of his life and relationships. The episode examines how weight affects social perception and self-confidence while avoiding simple moralizing about health and appearance. Peter's newfound attractiveness creates opportunities he's never had before, testing his loyalty to Lois and his satisfaction with his current life. The episode satirizes fitness culture and society's obsession with physical appearance while acknowledging the real benefits of improved health and self-care. Lois's reaction to Peter's transformation reveals her own insecurities about their relationship and her fear of losing him to someone more attractive. The episode explores how major personal changes affect marriage, showing how even positive changes can create relationship stress if they alter the fundamental dynamic between partners. Peter's temptation to cheat on Lois with his attractive trainer creates genuine dramatic tension while maintaining the episode's comedic tone. The children's reaction to their father's transformation highlights how parental changes affect family dynamics and children's sense of security. The resolution examines whether people should change themselves to please others or accept themselves as they are, suggesting that balance and moderation are preferable to extreme transformations. Episode 18. When Peter's property is discovered to be technically outside U.S. jurisdiction, he declares independence and creates his own country, leading to an exploration of government, citizenship, and civic responsibility. The episode satirizes both American patriotism and anti-government sentiment while examining what happens when someone actually tries to opt out of society. Peter's initial excitement about freedom from taxes and regulations gives way to the reality of providing basic services and infrastructure without government support. The episode shows how modern life depends on countless government services that most people take for granted until they're no longer available. Peter's attempts to govern his new nation highlight his lack of understanding about political and economic systems while creating opportunities for absurd humor. The international recognition of Peter's micronation creates diplomatic complications that escalate the situation beyond simple neighborhood comedy. Meanwhile, the family's experience of statelessness shows how citizenship provides security and rights that become apparent only when lost. The episode examines the social contract between citizens and government, suggesting that while government has flaws, the alternatives are often worse. The resolution requires Peter to acknowledge that independence isn't the same as freedom and that community membership involves both benefits and responsibilities that can't be easily separated. Episode 19. Peter's brief career as a newspaper reporter explores themes of journalism, truth, and the responsibility that comes with media influence. When Peter stumbles into a news story, his lack of journalistic training and ethical awareness leads to increasingly problematic reporting. The episode satirizes both sensationalist media and the public's appetite for scandal while examining how personal biases affect news coverage. Peter's enjoyment of his newfound influence and recognition makes him reluctant to acknowledge when his reporting becomes inaccurate or harmful. The episode shows how media can shape public perception through selective reporting and sensational presentation of ordinary events. Meanwhile, the subjects of Peter's reporting become victims of his irresponsible journalism, highlighting the real-world consequences of media malpractice. The episode examines the tension between press freedom and responsibility, showing how the same tools that can expose important truths can also spread misinformation and damage innocent people. Lois's reaction to Peter's journalism career reflects her understanding of ethics and consequences compared to his focus on immediate gratification and attention. The episode's exploration of media literacy and critical thinking becomes increasingly relevant as information sources multiply and verification becomes more challenging. The resolution requires Peter to confront the damage his reporting has caused while learning about the responsibility that comes with the power to influence public opinion. Episode 20. Wasted talent. Peter's discovery of his piano-playing abilities when drunk leads to an exploration of talent, achievement, and the relationship between creativity and substance abuse. The episode examines how people can possess abilities they're unaware of while also exploring the destructive potential of using alcohol as a creative catalyst. Peter's musical talent emerges only when he's intoxicated, creating a dilemma about whether pursuing this gift is worth the personal and health costs. The episode satirizes both the romantic notion of the tortured artist and the practical problems of addiction while maintaining empathy for Peter's situation. Lois's concern about Peter's drinking shows her protective instincts while highlighting the family's vulnerability to his self-destructive behavior. The episode features elaborate musical performances that showcase the show's production values while advancing the plot through song. Peter's brief success as a pianist provides rare positive recognition for his abilities while creating new pressures and expectations he's not equipped to handle. The competition aspect of the episode adds stakes while examining how talent alone isn't sufficient for success without discipline and commitment. The episode explores whether pursuing artistic achievement is worth sacrificing personal relationships and health, suggesting that balance is preferable to extremes. The resolution finds Peter choosing family stability over artistic recognition, though the episode acknowledges the genuine loss involved in abandoning his musical talent. Episode 21, the season finale, focuses on Peter's attempt to mentor Cleveland Jr. in golf, while exploring themes of parenting, friendship, and racial dynamics. When Cleveland Jr. shows remarkable golf talent, Peter sees an opportunity to be the mentor he wishes he'd had while also helping his friend's son achieve something special. The episode examines cross-racial friendship and mentorship while avoiding both colorblind ideology and heavy-handed social commentary. Peter's enthusiasm for golf and mentoring shows his capacity for positive influence when he's genuinely committed to helping someone else succeed. Cleveland Jr.'s talent and dedication highlight the importance of both natural ability and hard work in achieving excellence, while his youth creates vulnerability to adult pressure and expectations. The episode satirizes country club culture and the exclusivity often associated with golf while also showing genuine appreciation for the sport's challenges and rewards. Peter's relationship with Cleveland is developed through their shared investment in Cleveland Jr.'s success, showing how parenting can strengthen adult friendships. The pressure of competition and potential success tests both Peter's mentoring abilities and Cleveland Jr.'s emotional resilience as they navigate expectations and setbacks. The episode explores how adult ambitions can both motivate and burden young people, showing the delicate balance required in supportive mentorship. The resolution emphasizes the importance of enjoying the process rather than focusing solely on outcomes, suggesting that personal growth and relationship building are more valuable than winning tournaments. Conclusion: Family Guy's second season proved that the first season wasn't a fluke. This was a show with staying power, creativity, and the courage to push boundaries while exploring genuine human emotions. These 21 episodes established recurring themes, developed complex character relationships, and created some of the most memorable moments in animated television history. From luxury mansions to post-apocalyptic wastelands, from religious conflicts to artistic discoveries, Season 2 showed that Family Guy could tackle any subject while maintaining its unique voice and irreverent humor. If this comprehensive journey through Season 2 brought back memories or introduced you to episodes you'd forgotten, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows that shaped television comedy. What's your favorite Season 2 moment? Let me know in the comments below.